Desperate times, desperate measures for Democrats this afternoon, from California to New York and everywhere in between. Just moments ago, the California State Assembly approved a ballot measure allowing for a vote on a new congressional map on November 4th. It'll head to the Senate, then presumably the governor's desk for signing. It is an in-kind response to what happened late last night in Texas, when Republicans there, in transparently political fashion, forged and passed a new district map mid-decade that stands to pad the party's majority in Washington. For California, though, today is a sort of break glass in case of emergency moment in time, a retaliation for what Democrats there view as an act of political warfare. Here is California Governor Gavin Newsom on the battle lines drawn in Texas.
This is radical rigging of a midterm election, radical rigging of an election, destroying, vandalizing this democracy, the rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
It is an aggressive position to take, but Newsom evidently has the support of his party's most popular figure. From President Obama today, quote, "Over the long term, we shouldn't have political gerrymandering in America, just a fair fight between Democrats and Republicans based on who's got better ideas." But since Texas is taking direction from a partisan White House and gerrymandering in the middle of a decade to try and maintain the House despite their unpopular policies, I have tremendous respect for how Governor Newsom has approached this. He's put forward a smart, measured approach in California designed to address a very particular problem at a very particular moment in time. The question now, how far does this conflict spread? A number of states, red and blue, are at least considering new maps at this moment. And this morning, Democrat Nicole Collier, the Texas state representative who developed a national profile for her resistance to GOP gerrymandering efforts, told our colleague Ali Vitali that conversations with Democrats in other states are ongoing.
Well, the Governor Hochul in New York, I spoke with her just yesterday, and she is ready to take action if necessary. Again, this is all triggered. No, not one of these Democratic governors was looking to do any mid-decade redistricting. They did their redistricting at the time of our 2020 census, and so they were not looking to do that. But they're ready. They're ready to do it if necessary. So we've got California. Governor Newsom has agreed to start that process, and they're already in the process of doing it. And so then we're looking for, if we have to, New York is willing. Illinois is willing. We're talking to Maryland. We're talking to New Jersey. We're going to continue to talk to these states to try to meet them where they are, which is in the dirt.
That quote, "in the dirt politics," is where we start today with member of the California State Assembly, Isaac Bryan, is here. Also joining us, senior political reporter covering California politics at Politico, Melanie Mason. And with me at the table, lucky me, former Democratic Senator and MSNBC political analyst Claire McCaskill. It is good to see you all. Assemblymember Bryan, let's start with you. Explain exactly what it is that your legislative body acted on today and why you felt it was necessary.
Well, thank you for having me. Today, we sent a constitutional amendment to the voters of California so that on November 4th, they can decide whether we stand up to the power grab that's happening out of D.C. through Texas. It's not California Democrats drawing new maps. It's us empowering the voters of California to make that decision. And I believe strongly they will stand with us in this moment.
Assemblymember Bryan, Republican Assemblymember Carl DeMaio explained his position like this. Take a listen.
And they're using a lot of voters' distrust of Donald Trump and what's going on in Texas as the vehicle, the ruse to seize back power for politicians. That's what this is all about. It has nothing to do with the saving of democracy. I learned in kindergarten, like most people, that two wrongs don't make a right. And yet here you have Governor Gavin Newsom trying to eliminate what is the gold standard here in California.
Assemblymember, your evaluation of that point of view?
Pure hypocrisy. I chaired the Elections Committee for 2 years. I authored the Fair Maps Act. which called for drawing political boundaries without consideration for where politicians currently live. Republicans voted against it. I authored legislation calling for independent redistricting commissions for every single level of California government. Republicans voted against it. While they stand on hypocrisy, in this moment, we're standing on business.
Melanie, I want you to help me understand how all of this looks from Governor Newsom's perspective. It's not exactly popular, this redistricting effort. He seems committed to playing hardball. What is the calculus in his mind?
I think his calculus is that Democratic voters in the state of California and nationally can hold two thoughts in their head at the same time. And I think the first is that redistricting is, independent redistricting is very popular with Democrats in the state, in the country. Politico, along with UC Berkeley's Citron Center, we just had a poll out today that found that 70% of Democrats nationally like the idea of independent redistricting. But when it's framed to them as this is something that California has to do in response to what happened in Texas, in response to what has been set off by Trump, we see strong majorities of Democrats nationally liking the fact that Governor Newsom and California Democrats are pursuing that. So that's the bet that Newsom is making. He is saying, you know, we're no longer can we do the sort of two wrongs don't make a right philosophy, which I think has governed a lot of Democrats for a long time. And he is betting that Democrats and independents in the state, and who knows, maybe some Republicans, will agree with him and say, in this circumstance, we're going to put our personal feelings about independent redistricting aside and see this as a larger political fight.
Claire, do you think voters can hold both ideas in their head at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me a little bit of Trump trying to reframe the war in Ukraine, that somehow Ukraine started it. Everybody knows who started the war in Ukraine. It was Russia. Everybody knows who started this. It was Donald Trump. Everybody knows he's the one who began a process of trying to put pressure on every Republican state that he can to change and rig the maps. And I'm glad Gavin Newsom is doing this. I think every single Democratic state should begin yesterday trying to redistrict and draw more Democratic districts. They're getting ready to take away a lot of black congressmen and women, a lot of congressmen and women of color in this country, by busting up urban areas so that Republicans can win them. The way to get around that is to do the same thing to Republicans in Democratic states.
I am struck by your parallel there because this is, in fact, a march of aggression. I want you to take a listen to how Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia described it just last night.
They are trying to lock in one-party rule in the United States, in large part because he's engaged in so much outright malfeasance and abuse and corruption that he can't afford to have a Democratic House that could investigate his misdeeds. So Democrats need to strike back. We have no time or luxury for high-minded hesitation.
I wonder how you are feeling. You were running this race. You have now handed the baton to California. What's going through your mind as you watch those remarks?
I'm so elated and grateful for the state of California, the legislature, for stepping up to the challenge. You know, we are seeing this demise of our democracy day by day, and Trump has he's trying to burn America down. And so it's so refreshing to see California rise to the challenge, to meet them where they are, which is in the dirt. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for my constituents and for those in Texas.
Representative Collier, I have to express my personal gratitude for your example, because I know it was not hard to be threatened the way you were, to be dictated to by a rogue legislative leadership, and yet you stood the ground to make the case that what was happening in your state was not just ill-advised and bad politics, but it's something that should rankle every American. What exactly happened yesterday when you had all these pieces coming together at one time, from you're being told you'd be committing a felony if you went to the restroom, to actually having that moment where not only did they cast that vote, but then they scurried out of that chamber like mice who, when the lights come on. Talk us through a little bit of that and what you were thinking and feeling over the last few days as this moment was, as you were confronting this moment.
Yeah, thank you so much for recognizing that. Their intimidation and fear tactics have gone off the rails. With their quest for power knows no bounds. So what we found, they did a call of the House to make sure that they would not lose quorum, but they did something that exceeded the authority of the rules. So instead of saying that the Department of Public Safety would bring us to the Capitol, what they said is that you had to be released into the custody of the Department of Public Safety, which is our law enforcement. See, their base has been saying, arrest them, arrest them. So they found a clever way to do that by duping Democrats into signing away their rights for freedom and agreeing to be released into the custody of DPS so that they can go home. And so what I notice is that I have not done anything wrong. I've not committed any crime. So I am not going to be complicit with your overreach and control over me and my freedom. So I just said no. And I think that we have to get into that mode of resisting when we see our government going down the wrong path. And I think that this resonates with Democrats, Republicans, and independents, because we all value our liberty and our freedom. And when we see government entrenching on it, we got to say no more. And so that's where we were yesterday. They tried to intimidate me and say that you could be committing a felony by recording myself in a small corner. But I was the chair of the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee of the House, and I know the law, and I know I wasn't breaking it. But again, it was just some way to try to put fear in me, but I'm not going to back down.
Assemblyman Zabar, you are in California. It's a totally different state, very different personalities. From what I understand, the polling says that Democrats ultimately, 70% of Democrats don't agree with partisan redistricting. But in a case like this, about 68% for the polling I saw really want Democrats to fight back.
Holy frig, folks. Republicans in every single state that have been trying to pull some of these schemes are losing seats tonight after Gavin Newsom dropped a bomb. A bomb. And it's been retweeted and repeated and enforced by Obama and other top Democrats, progressives, moderates, establishment, outsiders. Everyone seems to be backing it. Because as we've been noting, you can't fight with one arm tied behind your back, right? You can't bring a toothpick to a bazooka fight, right? And so Democrats are doing it. And we've talked about Texas here, but remember, Florida's doing this too. Florida is one of these states that's doing a mid-census redistricting. Redistricting should only happen every 10 years. It happens every 10 years after the states find out if they've gained seats in Congress, if they've lost seats in Congress, and then also how population has moved within their states. If there's a really fast-growing city and some of the rural areas have shrunk, just say, for example, you might add an extra seat in the metropolitan area of your state to sort of balance it out a little bit, right? And so that's why it happens every 10 years. By doing it mid-cycle, it's clear Republicans are trying to rig it for Trump because they're worried about losing seats in the midterms. And it's not just Texas, it's also Florida. So this move by California actually caused losses in Florida and Texas and everywhere that's doing it, because ultimately it's not about individual seats, it's about control of Congress. And every single Republican from the Florida delegation loses if the Democrats win. That's the truth. No ifs, ands, or buts.